The threat is clear. Könnte durchaus ein internationales Podest geben. Oder schon vorbei, 56 Hundertstel Saison-Highlight. Die Geschwindigkeit und Ziel. Western bei der Zwischenzeit von 63 Hundertstel bei Green.
Yes! Yes!
Go, go, go!
Woo! Woo!
Western bei der Zwischenzeit Horseshoes.
Yes!
Hello and welcome to the Winter Wonderland that is Lillehammer in Norway. The 1994 Winter Olympic venue still nestles in a valley outside the small town of Lillehammer, about 2 hours to the north of the capital, Oslo. And what a beautiful day we have for sliding. A little overcast, so sun won't be an issue, but -11 overnight. The ice is hard and fast. Final race of the Men's Skeleton World Cup, 38 athletes in the field. So what about the challenge of this 1994 Winter Olympic venue? Also the venue for the 2016 Youth Olympic Games. 16 corners. Start with the all-important start. It's fairly flat and short. Jung Seung-gi of Korea, who returns this weekend, got the start record last week. Into the little quiet corner 1 and 2, and then the first corner with real pressure, corner 3. Corner 4 cut differently this year. Late pressure sends you a little left down into corner 5. And then the omega turn, corner 6, more than 180 degrees, leads you down into the labyrinth through corner 7. 8 is the tricky section here. If you get it wrong, it'll send you late into 9, and then you've got to hold the pressure in 10 through 11. Otherwise, you kill your speed through corner 12 to the all-important 13, which decides speed for the bottom of the track along the Elk Straight through corner 14. Long 180-degree corner 15, and the final left-hander 16 slings you across the line. Last year, Felix Seibel set the track record. The track records are likely to tumble this weekend. The ice, which was excellent last year, even better this year. Meister, Morten Poulsen and the crew have been doing a superb job. Well, as well as being the World Cup finale, this race also counts for the European Championship. And you just saw the European champion Marcus Wyatt. First man off will be Axel Jung, silver medalist here last year. Felix Kaising was the European Championship bronze medalist last year. That was in Sigulda. And Sami Meyer, 2 medals already in what has been absolutely the best season of his career. So 38 sleds, the fastest 25 as ever will go through into the second and deciding heat. And the top European slider will become the European champion. So among our field, former European champions, including Marcus Wyatt, Matt Weston, and nobody else in the field has won a European title in the men's game. Lawrence Bostock rejoins the World Cup after a good weekend last weekend. And Kim Ji-soo rounds out the top 20 sliders. We have got a debutant in the field from Romania, Teodor Bugliescu. And there are 38 sleds with Jung Seung-hui returning to action, his first race of the year. 8th and final race of the IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. The season finale kicks off with last year's silver medalist here in Lillehammer, Axel Jung, his 79th World Cup race. And last year, here was the last time he was on the podium, although he took a team gold in Samoritz. So we'll look for the start. He gets away in 4.80, 2/10 away from the start record. Track record 51.04. Axel with fresh ice. Now, lots of the sliders in the Skeleton World Cup, because they weren't competing in World Cup last weekend, were in Lake Placid in North America's Cup, getting ready for the games, or for the World Championships. All a little late skid out of 13. And then whistling through 15 and up through 16, across the line, 51.38. So 34 hundredths off the track record. An overnight low like -11, although the track is glossy and has a good spritz on it. Need maybe just a little bit of warmth and sunlight to really bring that gloss. Couple of errors creeping in from Axel. Long skid down the straight, and again coming out late. I'm not sure he was totally overjoyed with that. Next up, Austin Florian of the USA. Best start draw he's had all season long. His 50th World Cup race. Season's best, a 5th place in Samoritz. World Cup best ever has been a 4th, yet to grab a medal spot. 4.78 getaway. Good start from Austin Florian. In the red though, as he gets down to 6, just a whisker behind. Little late exit out of 7. Through the labyrinth, down to corner 10. Got to keep the height a little later in 10 than they're used to. Otherwise you lose speed through 12 out of 13. Hits hard. Losing ground substantially now to Axel Jung, and that big looping clatter in the wall out of 13 certainly didn't help. 52.04. 07 rather. Well, he'd be disappointed with that run, I think. Early ice and a much colder night last night than it has been for the last few, means that the track probably feels very different. Getting tapped away there, and then this late exit out of 13 hits hard.
one off by Samuel from Austria.
It's been a little bit of an up and down season for Austin Florian. It's been a standout season for Sami Maier. Former European medalist Mickey Grunberger holding the sled for his young protege, 25-year-old Austrian. Sixth in the Youth Olympic Games here in 2016. 2 podiums out of the 3 he's earned have come this season. He is 4th in the race for the Crystal Globe. Not likely to catch a top 3 position unless one of those ahead of him has an unmitigated disaster. But it has been such a big season for Sami Maier. Looking smooth as ever, and that'll really work on this track. Lots of corners, plenty of driving to do, but you do have to be smooth, especially here through the labyrinth. Fans still turning up. There's going to be 1,100 school kids here today, learning all about sliding sports. Nice looking lines, and across the line, a 10th up, 51.28. A great opportunity for a day out, a school trip. And loads of the local schools are sending kids today. Track very keen that a new generation learns what this is all about. Last year when the World Cup returned, even at local gas stations, when people were asking for directions, locals were saying, "Is that place still open?" It certainly is. All right, could be better. Again, faster ice changes everything. They haven't practiced this morning. They haven't been down the track. You can walk it, but that doesn't give you a feel for it. Last year's winner, Christopher Groothaar, lying 3rd in the World Cup standings after 4 wins to start the season, and then having to miss race 5 with injury, really torpedoed his hopes of winning the overall Crystal Globe. 4:89. He really is in superb form, isn't he? 4-time world champion. He's our reigning Olympic champion as well. Gone from being a man who promised potential to suddenly discovering it. Close to Sami Maier, but losing a little of that early advantage. 2nd highest speed, good exit out of 13. Kind of. Across the line, 1200s back, 200s behind Axel Jung.
Oh, Trump.
You can see how far up the outrun they're going. It is a fairly gradual outrun, not steep. Shows you how much speed they are carrying here. Some looping height, 10, 11, 12, 13. Quite a physical track. So Christopher Groothaar, 3rd at the moment. Sami Maier, the leader after the first 4 sleds. And now our European champion, Marcus Wyatt, 33-year-old. Had a disaster here last year, popped the groove. Now that was in the right-hand spur. He's in the left-hand spur this time. Much better, 4.70, fastest start so far. Of all the British sliders here last year, only Amelia Coltman really had a decent time on the track. 3 men all struggled. Just didn't seem to have the right setup for the day on their sleds. 3100s up, that looks like that is a thing of the past. Only the 4th best speed though for Marcus Wyatt. Interesting exit out of 13, stayed hard to the right. Only 600s up, and that's all cost him. Speed below 10 has gone away from 3100s up to 1100s back. So he slips in between Axel Jungk and Christopher Groothair. Jungk at 10th back, Marcus 1100s back, 1200s back is Groothair. And there in the bobble hat, the most successful European Championship medalist in men's skeleton. Martin Stoekors has 12 European Championship gold medals. Well, great load from Marcus Wyatt. But by the time he gets here out of 13, he's late, steering too much. Felix Kaisinger, bronze medalist in the Europeans last year. In fact, 2 European bronze medals, both times in Sigulda. Sigulda was a European Championship 2 out of 3 years. Best result this season, a 5th place finish in Winterberg. Ranked 7th in the World Cup rankings. It's not been a standout season. 477 is a decent getaway, but already losing speed. And with that start, out to 2100s out. At this stage, Marcus Wyatt was 3100s up. He's only 1300s up now as they sweep around through 10. Out of 12. Flops late out of 13 in the red. How far back is he going to fall? He'll be behind. Jungk, Wyatt, Groothair. And across the line, 1600s back. It is going to be a tough battle. Axel Jungk 10th behind our current leader Sami Meyer. Marcus Wyatt 1100s back, Christopher Groothair 1200s back, Felix Kaisinger 1600s back. You see the line just varying a little there. And out of 13, a little late, just flops a fraction out onto the Elk Straight. Always a smile. Next up for China, Yin Cheng, the 28-year-old, 3-time winner last season. This season's best, a 3rd place finish in Beijing and another bronze medal in Sigulda. He was our push start champion 2 years ago, 476. So he's in the mix. Marcus Wyatt still with the fastest start at 470. But that is quicker than Sami Meyer's 494 getaway. 2400s up. Out of 6. And into the labyrinth. 7, 8, 9. And then down to the big corner 10. Losing speed to Meyer, was a little late off 10. Big height out of 12. Hard hit into 13, late out to 13. 5th best speed, 4th on the splits. Likely to be around Axel Jungk. No, drops behind and ties with Felix Kaisinger at 1600s back. So the last 2 sleds, 100th apart at the start, tied at the bottom. Looping late height, tags the wall. Going through 13, oscillating all over the place. A big smile from Yin Cheng. Next up, European silver medalist last year, European champion in 2023, Matt Weston, our reigning World Cup champion. He's also our points leader. Finished in 8th place here last year. has won the last 2 World Cup outings and has not been off the podium all year. 4.67. So fastest start so far, 2700s up on Sammy Meyer. Sammy Meyer third out, really making good use of that early ice. Out of 6, a little waving, but up to 4 tenths up. A little late early in the labyrinth. 2800s, losing speed dramatically, only the 7th fastest sled. 1700s, he'll be in the red at the bottom. Out of 13, down the Elk Straight, 400s back, through 15, 16th. This is going to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Where is he at the line? 7th, a quarter of a second back. Well, like teammate Marcus Wyatt, a run of 2 halves. Pretty decent up to the labyrinth and losing speed on the way down. Well, the British used to do lots of pre-season training here. Well, it looks as though they are still struggling to find the fastest lines. For China now, Chen Wenhao, the 28-year-old. Best result, 5th place in Sigulda. Dirk Matchens there in the yellow jacket, the Chinese coach. 27th World Cup start for Chen. A silver and a bronze medal, yet to claim a gold. Let's see what he can piece together here in Lillehammer after some training runs this week and last. Start is excellent, 4.76. 2300s up into corner 6. Try and push the height later through corner 8. You're starting to lose speed already. Out of 12. Short shoot into 13. Through 14, big corner 15, lots of oscillation, working hard there to try and preserve the line, and 4 tenths back. 11th place here last year, Chen 8th out of 9 sleds so far. He's 3900s back. Austin Florian 7900s back. Chen beating himself up already about the mistakes. And this is so tricky. Whatever the weather conditions are in training, you can't guarantee the track will be the same, the weather will be the same in the race. And you have to adapt everything you've learned to those changing conditions. 10th of our 38 starters is Ukraine's Vladislav Heraskevich. Finished 22nd here last year. Raced here in the Youth Olympics as well, back in 2016. Finished in a tie for 8th place. Let's see what he's got here at the start. 4.90, so quicker than Sammy Meyer, our current leader. Meyer is the outlier. The 10th fastest of the 10 starters so far, but the quickest man down the ice. So 400s ahead of Meyer early on, 600s back as he gets out of corner 6 and down through the labyrinth. You see the legs moving around a lot more than we're used to seeing from Vlad. And that means he's correcting his lines as he goes. Sixth best speed at the moment, ahead of Austin Florian, but only Austin Florian, 51.84. So Vladislav, there's his dad, Mikkel. Vladislav Heraskevich and Austin Florian are both likely to be struggling a little when it comes to making the cut for the second run. A lot of good sliders still to come here. That final boosting step. Hurl yourself onto the sled. So first 10 sleds down, and perhaps our surprise early leader, Sammy Meyer, looking very strong in the first heat. Lawrence Bostock returns to World Cup action. Raced in Winterberg earlier this season. Before that, his most recent World Cup race was at Lake Placid at the end of last year. A good weekend last weekend. Racing in Sigulda. On the podium in the Europe Cup. 2/10 up. Now both Matt Weston and Marcus Wyatt had a lead at this stage, but again, like them, it's gone away. And he's 600s up, and as he comes out of 10 already in the red. 10th best speed. Lots of scratching and scrabbling going on. Pinballing around, out of 13, big oscillations in 15. Not got a handle on the bottom of the track at all, 51.95. He too in that 10th place, ahead of Austin Florian of the USA. But behind Vladislav Heraskevich by 100th, I beg your pardon, by 1100ths.
76.
Martin Stuko is telling him 76, that's the start time, 4:76. Very late out of 13, gets slammed into the wall. And the legacy of that again, late onto 14. Next up is Denmark's Rasmus Vestergaard Johansen, the 22-year-old. Finished in 7th place in the race here last year. Junior World Championships silver medalist in Samoritz, his 3rd Junior Worlds silver. Junior European silver medalist 2 years ago as well. And 10th place in the European Championships last year in Sigulda. 4:78, decent start. Trained by the Germans, works with them. Rooms with Christopher Groothair. Early slides for Denmark, very much a part of the German operation. Great looking line through corner 10 as well, in front of a big group of kids. Nice so far. Still with a slender lead over Sammy Meyer. And he's the first in about a dozen sleds that has carried a lead this far down, but from 10 on down, it's all come unraveled in a hurry. Sammy Meyer managed something that nobody else has managed to do, which is carry speed below 10, 51.68 for Rasmus Johansen. He's 9th at the moment, 100th behind Chen Wenhao. So below 10, everybody starting, or the sled starting to get away from them. Carrying speed later and later through the corners. And then that big flop there off 13.
From China,
Lin Chin Wei of China, 25-year-old, part of the gold medal winning team back in Winterberg. We have a teams competition here as well, the last one of the World Cup season. And that will not be today, Skeleton Friday, that will be Saturday afternoon, after the mono and the two-man. Final World Cup race of his rookie season for Lin, 4:67. 2 fifth places, the best results of his year so far. As ever, the Chinese athletes relatively short on knowledge of these European tracks. Came here twice in European Championship, or European Cup racing rather, and 1 gold medal on his second weekend here. 2600s up. Carrying really good speed early on. This is a very strong run from Lin Chen-wei. If he doesn't have the lead, he'll be in second place, surely. Really strong run. He does have the lead by 300ths of a second. Excellent stuff from Lin. Good start, 4:67. And built up a very strong early lead, out to 4300s up by corner 6. And just managed to hang on. 300s in the lead. And even with that little bit of a late flop and a steer out of 13. Watch the toes. No big steers in 15. Even a tiny toe drag there would have dropped him back into second. So new leader, Lin Chen-wei of China. Next up for Switzerland, Vincent Booth. 14th place here last year. World Cup best, an 11th place finish in race 1 of this season in Pyeongchang. Starting 4:99. So giving away 3200s immediately to our new leader, Lin. He's got great form, hasn't he? Long, lean athlete. Doesn't have hugely broad shoulders. That means a smaller frontal area. Less penetrating the air is always good. Nice exit out of 13, not too much of a flop. 14th slider, 14th fastest run so far, up to 13th ahead of Austin Florian. He's ahead of Lawrence Bostock as well, and only 500s behind 11th place Vladislav Heraskevich. So Vlad now with 3 sleds behind him. Vincent Buff with a 51.89 should make the second heat. But we are only 14 sleds in to 36, so barely a third of the way through the field. Great view of the runners there, the way that they're bowed at the bottom. See the rounded profile. Honestly have no idea how they find any, quote, grip from the runners. Rounded, polished to mirror perfection, with a contact patch about the size of a fingerprint. Maybe the length of a finger. Well, Lin Chen-wei, his teammate, is the leader. Fellow rookie Chu Haifeng of China. They both raced in Lake Placid last week. Running in the North America's Cup. Trying to get in some mileage before the World Championships next month. 4:85 getaway. This is the final race weekend for the Skeleton World Cup. Bobsleigh will race here in Lillehammer this week and next to complete their World Cup campaign. 1800s back on his teammate at the start. 4500s back. This is not the run of Lin Chen-wei. And he's not going to be close to our other Chinese slider, Yin Cheng either. Whoa, very late flop out of 13. You can see the violence there as the athlete gets flung around. And all of that is energy throwing him about that's no longer driving the sled forward. 52.12. Season's highlight so far, 6th place on home ice in Beijing. 15th place in his first competition run here in Lillehammer. Loving the helmet art. Some of these helmet painters have really produced some great helmets. And all three Chinese sliders with really good-looking domes. But that was not a comfortable exit. I felt every bit of that. So 15 sleds in, Lin Chen-wei of China leads from Sammy Meyer. Lucas Nidegger, junior European champion last season. The 22-year-old is the junior world champion as well. 491 getaway. Sixth last time out. In his rookie season, his best result has been a 5th place finish. And with a 14th best start, 491. He's going to have to really drive himself into competitive position. 13th on the splits. 4th best speed, very promising. Low down, let's see what he can do. Steer out of 13. 9th best speed, could be a top 10 run. Is he ahead of Rasmus Johansson? He is not. He is behind him by 300ths. 11th place for Lucas Nidegger, the rookie this season. Actually, one thing about Lucas, when we arrived last year for the first World Cup race, Lucas had the track record at that stage. Little late exit out of 13. You saw that uphill runner just flop down onto the ice and having to wriggle around to straighten the sled up. Big hit on the wall just before the timing line, skidding sideways across it. Like everybody else, trouble below 10. Alexander Schlintner of Austria now, 24th World Cup start. Alex finished in 17th place in the race here last year. And it wasn't an under-strength field, 37 sliders last year for men's skeleton World Cup in Lillehammer. Just one more than that this year, 38. Speed through the labyrinth. 12th at the start, 13th on the splits. Eighth best speed. Tall, strong athlete. Carries a lot of mass, which is great for acceleration. Whoa, and a horrendous 11, 12, 13. All of that speed gone away. He'll go from 13th on the splits down to 17th at the line. That could have been like Lucas Nidegger. He could have been close to the top 10. Yeah, walks away very quickly. Not at all happy with that. Quite painful. Very late exit here. Out of 10, and then looping height out of 13. Really painful. I mean, really painful. Hey, Martin, you should try skeleton. Next up, Mattia Gaspari for Italy. Coach Billy Schneider with the sled. 23rd place here, but had 2 wins in the Intercontinental Cup on this track in 2022, and that was the second tier of sliding, and he was on his way back to fitness and back to the World Cup squad. So he does know how to get speed out of the track. Let's see what he can do. 17th fastest start, 496. The Italians have struggled this season, frankly. Neither the men nor the women really seeming to be able to find big speed on the track, and that's a worry for them, with Milan Cortina now less than 365 days away. with the track nearing completion. They will be sliding on home ice, hopefully not Lake Placid or somewhere else. And they need to find the speed, 51.91. And Willi Schneider is not just a coach, he's the man who builds their sleds now. Whether he's furiously testing stuff all the time, not sure. We might find out in Lake Placid if he brings it all together for the World Championships. But it's been a little bit of a dispiriting season. Mattia 14th at the moment. Seven previous European Championships for Mattia Gaspari, a best of 6. Lucas Defaye of France, 3 European Championships for him. Best of 12th in Altenburg 2 years ago. Raced here in Europe Cup and in the Intercontinental Cup. This has been a regular venue on the lower circuits, just not in World Cup until last season. 491 getaway. So 15th at the start, and Luca again, I always think he's a little bit like Sammy Meyer, just seems to have this smooth flowing start, always holds his form well. He's had some very encouraging runs this year. 16th best speed, this may not be his favourite day of the season. Still 17th on the splits off the 15th best start. Now normally he comprehensively outdrives his start. Today that's not the case. 14th best speed. Down through 15 and 16 and 16th at the line, 52.02. That leaves him in 16th place ahead of Austin Florian, Xu Haifeng and Alexander Schlindner. Looking a little perplexed out of 13. Not the worst exit you've seen. (13), Snorre Pedersen is telling me, is quite benign and forgiving this year. Apparently not. Next up for Korea, Kim Ji-soo. Only time here in last year's World Cup race. Katsuhiro Koshi will have raced on this track a few times, his coach. Back in the early days of his career, finished 21st here last season. Let's see if he can find some improvement. Start should be in there and swinging, yep, 4.71. 4th fastest start of the competition so far. Fastest is still Matt Weston's 4.67. 400s back at the start, 2/10 back now and losing speed. 20th slider, lowest velocity we've seen so far. And just sagging all the way down the order. 4th at the start, down to 15th place, 19th best speed. He will be potentially right at the tail of the field, and he is. 9800s back, big grimace from Koshi-san. Well, that was a disaster, wasn't it? Luca Defaye is, 4 spots in front of him. He finished 37th last year. And Kim, who finished 21st, I'm saying it now, he's not going to make the cut. We've got another 16 sliders to go. I don't think that's enough. Yeah. 20 in, Lin Chenwei of China, the narrow leader from Sammy Meyer, and a massive logjam of talent right behind. Quick getaway for our Latvian slider, Davis Valdovskis, under-20 junior world champion last year, 4th in the Youth Olympic Games in Pyeongchang last year as well. Raced here in Europe Cup in December, and heading into the Youth Olympic Games they had Omega qualifying races here. He won the race here, so he has got good memories of coming to this track. It's only his 3rd World Cup. At the moment, already losing speed. Just 18. Some of our youth Olympians, younger still. Got a 16-year-old in the women's field, 3 17-year-olds, 52.46. And again, that might not be enough to make the race. At 18, he will still have a lot of time to improve. Good to see that Latvia are bringing their skeleton team back. But like Marcus Wyatt last year, popping out of the groove at the start, just costing him all the way down the track. It happens. First time here for Israel's Jared Firestone. Start draw number 22 for his 9th World Cup race. Now, in training, went way up the outrun and ruined his runners, so they were his only set, so he has borrowed a set of runners and trying something very new in terms of feel and control. 16th at the start, 4:91. Hoping to qualify himself for the World Championships. First time since 2018 that an Israel skeleton slider will have done so, before Jared even started sliding. And at the moment is in the last qualified spot for the World Championships. Not a bad looking run so far. Again, when you're trying something different on race day to what you trained on, it can be very trying indeed. 19th best speed. Still fighting it on the way down, 52.80. So 22nd at the moment. And a lot of sleds still to come. Not sure if that is going to be enough to get into the second heat for Jared Firestone. Raising his own funding. So friends and family in Salt Lake City have made this trip possible. So let's see what happens on the run into Lake Placid. This is the final race in the World Cup for qualifying. And what about our Italian rookie Giovanni Marchetti? 26-year-old, raced here in Europe Cup in 2022 and in 2024. And in fact, in last year, 2024, there was Europe Cup here in January and in December. So 4:78, good strong start. Can't argue with that. Top 10 starting. Let's see if his knowledge of the track is going to help him. Out of corner 6 into the labyrinth. Dropping down the order a little. Oh, skates down the wall, 12 to 13. Little tap coming onto the Elk Straight. 15th best speed, but this is a good looking run from Giovanni Marchetti. Is he going to be the top Italian? Yes, he is. 13th place at the line, 51.86.
now, our top three is still the same. In third place, Axel Jung. In
So
second
this
place,
weekend,
Samuel Meyer.
only him and Mattia Gaspari. Amadeo Banyas resting up with a little bit of an injury. That's a good run from Giovanni Marchetti. He's 13th, Mattia Gaspari in 15th, 500s back. Second of our sliders from Ukraine next, Yaroslav Lavrenyuk, Youth Olympics silver medalist in Pyeongchang, under-20 junior world bronze medalist in January 24 on this track. Did not race in last year's World Cup. Probably has as much experience in this place as about a third of the field. 4:95 getaway. Still just 17 years old. Made his World Cup debut at the tender age of 16. Quite a slight athlete, but again, still young, still growing. So he will get faster and stronger at the start, and that will help him all the way down. Of course, there is no substitute for experience, and that's why some of our best sliders are in their 30s, not their teens. 20th best speed. Across the line, 23rd place, 52.60. So 2/10 ahead of Jared Firestone of Israel. Yaroslav Lavrenyuk in 23rd out of 24 sleds. Nice quiet load, settles well, but just got eased out to the right from that right-hand spur. As the athlete sees it, not too many people using that. Big skid and a lot of steering going on there.
From Spain, the next one up, Adrian Rodriguez.
25th of 38 starters is Spain's Adrian Rodriguez. Second European Championships. Last year in Sigulda had a crash, didn't complete the race. Has raced here a number of times before. Europe Cup in 2021 and 2022, and ICC as well, the Intercontinental Cup in 2022, before he came up into the World Cup. .25 speed from the 16th start, drifting out towards the lower reaches of the top 25 at the moment. 22nd down to 23rd, not a bad exit, but had to steer away to get into 14. Across the line, 24th ahead of Jared Firestone, so 52.79. 100th ahead of Jared Firestone. It might be that 100th that gets him into the race. On the other hand, it may not. So 25 sleds down. 13 still looking for a place in the second heat. This is a tough business. There you see the load, tucking the hands around the back of the saddle, those handles down the side. That's how you grip on. Out of 13, having to take a bit of a steer.
And the track is clear.
26th up is Akwasi Frimpong of Ghana. Raced here last year to 32nd place. His only time here was in Lake Placid in the North America's Cup last week. So some of these athletes feeling a little bit jaded, I think. From Europe to North America and back. I mean, I wouldn't fancy it, would you? I mean, it's all right sitting around like I do, but trying to compete as well when you're jet lagged. Oh, big oscillations. .26 speed, 14th best start, 488. Not able to hold that speed. He's going to be 26th place at the line, so no second heat for Ghana's Akwasi Frimpong. His target is to qualify for Milan Cortina. And essentially in a team of one. Being taken under the wing of the Chinese. But you need the support, the finance, the coaching. He pretty much raises most of the money himself. But trying to coach yourself is difficult. Lots of oscillations. Now then, our rookie, our debutant, Theodore Bugliescu, 19 today. Happy birthday, Theodore. 6th in the Youth Games in 2024 in Beijing. Raced here in the Omega qualifying races and in January and December last year. So in the last 12 months, he has had 3 different outings, 13 months, 3 different outings on this track. 490, 17th at the start, a little late, and again, I'm sure pretty nervous as well of this whole thing. Mind you, he's been to the Youth Olympic Games, so he's got some big race experience under his belt. Out to 26. Just about ahead of Akwasi Frimpong at the moment. Can he overhaul Jared Firestone of Israel? Yes, he does. 24th, he is in. Akwasi Frimpong is out. Jared Firestone also is out. So Theodore Bugliescu on his debut, 24th at the moment. So last Romanian skeleton slider in the Men's World Cup. Watching from Lillehammer, Mihai Pacianu. He'll be racing in the 4-man bobsleigh this weekend and next.
Track is clear.
So good stuff. Very composed young man. Happy birthday to him. So does he get a second run? Well, let's see what our second newcomer here can produce. Lin Wei Peng in his 2nd World Cup start. The slider from Chinese Taipei raced here in the Youth Olympic Games in 2016 to 20th place. And his only previous World Cup outing was here last year, where he finished 36th. So there is the target. He was 36th out of 37 last year. The target is to be better than that in a field of 38 this year. And that's not a bad looking way to start. Didn't have the fastest getaway, 5 dead. 27th best speed. Still 27th best speed. He's our 28th slider. Across the line in 27th place. 53.26. So Lin Wei Peng. Again, the smaller nations really starting to raise their game as we head towards the final World Championships before the Olympic Games. Everybody desperate to qualify for Milan Cortina. And places are becoming tighter and tighter. The number of athletes being really regulated by the IOC. Not going to get a field of 40 or 50 anymore. And welcome back to the World Cup as well, to Luxembourg's Jeff Bauer. His only previous World Cup was in Sigulda in February 2020. Raced in 4 World Championships though, in 2017, 2019, 2021 and 2023. And this is his first race back, recovering from having a hip replacement. So there was no cartilage left in his hip after years of sporting abuse. He is just delighted to be back sliding again, having thought that after the hip hop he would not be able to compete. So representing Luxembourg as ever. Businessman and arch enthusiast Jeff Bauer, 29th at the start. And of course, when you've had your entire hip replaced, massive surgery through the glutes, and that is going to take a long time to rehab and get your speed back. And when you're in the second half of your first century, you don't recover quite as well. Jeff Payne watching, he's obviously been helping out a little. 54.04 for Jeff Bauer. '29th at the moment. His previous World Cup outing, he was 29th in Sigulda in February 4 years ago. Very high and late in 13. And he will also be competing for the European Championship positions, as will Switzerland's Livio Sommermatt, the 22-year-old youth Olympic bronze medalist in 2020. That, of course, was in St. Moritz, but raced here in the Omega races, in the ICC, and in the 2024 Junior World Championships. So again, some of our less experienced World Cup sliders have got plenty of knowledge of the track. Finished 26th here last year. This year has been a season where he's been in and out of the second heat about the same number of occasions. 21st best speed, 13th at the start, drifting out towards the tail of the top 20. Speed's gone away, it's a noisy run, and that always means that the slider is doing a lot of work. Not just the helmet chattering on the ice, but 23rd at the line, he's in at the moment. So he is in, and that finally bumps Adrian Rodriguez of Spain out of the race. Our debutant, Teodor Bugliescu of Romania, is currently in 25th, with Jaroslav Lavrenyuk also behind Livio Sommermatt. And like so many late out of 13, maybe that 10, 11, 12 sequence is just rushing them too quickly into 13. He seems pretty happy with that. 30 sleds down. Lin Chin Wei is the leader, and the man in 25th place is in the danger zone, Teodor Bugliescu. Next up is Nick Tucker of the USA. Here in the Europe Cup twice last season, in January and December 2024. In fact, that spans 2 seasons, doesn't it? Made his World Cup debut in Winterberg this year. Raced in St. Moritz as well, so this is his 3rd outing for the USA in the World Cup. Best of those was 14th on his debut in Winterberg. 4.78, 9th best start. He could be a force, couldn't he, with a start like that, once he gains a bit more experience of some of these tracks. Oh, height was late, very late. And that is going to send him into free fall. The speed has absolutely disappeared. 9th at the start. He'll be doing well to be inside 30th at the line. Across the line, 25th. He is in for the moment, 52.67. So Theodor Bugliescu does not get a second heat. Nick Tucker shakes his head. And this all comes from just one slight miscalculation, getting the steering in the wrong place in a sequence of corners. Just tears your run apart. Drops down low, gets thrown out of the curve and fired on down the hillside. Latest. Really uncomfortable run down through the labyrinth. By the time he gets down to the bottom, the speed has gone. Looks a little crestfallen. Colin Freeling of Belgium is next up. 28th place here last year. And again has made almost as many cuts as he's missed this season. 5:14 is the getaway. And he could drive himself into the race here. 10th place in the 2020 Youth Olympics in St. Moritz. European Championship, 15th position is his best result. That was in Altenburg in 2023. And as well as racing here in the World Cup last year, raced here in the Omega qualifying races in Europe Cup and on the ICC. So he's got knowledge. And he's out driving his start, but not by enough. 52.89. So Colin Freeling of Belgium, 29th at the line. And that means that Nick Tucker of the USA breathes easy again for one more sled, at least. Getting a little bit of support at the bottom from the British team. Not bad looking run, but he needs more speed at the start.
From the United States, next one up, Daniel Barefoot.
Star number 33 for Dan Barefoot. And again, experience here in Europe Cup, ICC and World Cup. Last year finished 20th. Like Colin Freeling, this is his 15th World Cup outing.
Go, 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 go!
486, decent start. Nick Tucker, his teammate, is currently in 25th place, so only one of the two of them will go through after this run. 16th at the start, out to 20th, 22nd place down Barefoot, over the 24th speed. Oh, and looping height there as well, not quite as dramatic perhaps as Nick Tucker. 24th place. I think Barefoot's experience is going to count here. Just about clinging on in the race. 23rd at the line, 2 behind him, so Nick Tucker is out. And for the moment, Dan Barefoot is in. I'm sure they're feeling it is a different track this year to last, even quicker, and on race day as well, because of the deep low last night. This is the coldest night of the week. The track is definitely harder, faster and quicker. For Malaysia, Jonathan Yaw raced here in the Europe Cup in 2022 and 2024, raced in last year's World Cup outing as well. 34th place, This is his 7th World Cup race, his 5th of this season. Five dead start. So that is going to mean he really has to drive himself into the race here. Long skid. Down from 4 to 5. Out of 6, late height in the labyrinth. And again, around 10, a little late exit. Out of 12, up to 13. And the scramble a little. Short shoot from 15 to 16, and across the line he comes. So 52.87. So Jonathan Yor from Malaysia ending up in 30th spot at the moment. So finished 34 out of 37 last year. He's got 4 behind him at the moment. So that will improve his standing. From the Czech Republic, Timon Drajanovský made his debut in Lapland last year. And his World Cup best, 24th place, was here last year. His 2nd World Cup outing of now 9. As he gets away in 5.08, so a little slower than we just saw from Jonathan Yor. Again, going to make it really hard work on himself, trying to get into that top 25. Down through the labyrinth. A little late. Out of 10. Flops out of 12. A little smoother out of 13, but had to steer as well on the straight. So he's out driving his start. 28th best speed. Across the line. 32nd, just losing out at the bottom. So ahead of Lin Wei Peng of Taipei, ahead of Akwasi Frimpong of Ghana, and ahead of Jeff Bauer of Luxembourg. But no second heat for the man from Czechia. And again, we're talking such tiny differences in the timing between a good run and not such a good run, and that comes with experience and with feel and with knowledge, and it all has to be learned. From the Netherlands, Yuri van Kupperveld, his 2nd World Cup start, made his debut in Winterberg. Has raced here though 3 times in Europe Cup, so new to us, but not new necessarily to Lillehammer. Again, good to see the Dutch programme starting to build a men's skeleton team as well as the women's team. And in Winterberg competed in the teams competition with Kimberly Boss, his female counterpart. And for Kim, after all her years of skeleton sliding, a first team competition. He's got a great start, 4.76, and once he learns to harness that speed and keep it alive, he could be a real threat. Joske Leconte watching the former slider and now coach of the Dutch team. His previous outing in Winterberg, he was 30th. He is 32nd at the moment with 2 to go. At least one of whom should be quicker. Not a bad exit out of 13, was it? Not too late. And then watch, does he have to steer? No, he just allows it to come back towards him. All right, well, there's a lot of sliders who give their IT for his start. Penultimate slider in his 8th World Cup is Poland's Władysław Poliwak. And Władysław, 23 years old. Now, I talked about some of the newer World Cup sliders having decent experience. Władysław has had no fewer than 14 races on this track, one of which was last year's World Cup. So he's raced here in Europe Cup a number of times, in the ICC, in the Junior Worlds and in the World Cup. 4.93 the getaway, so 27th place. That could be enough to get him in. He's going to have to overhaul Jaroslav Lavrenyuk. He outstarted him, and at the moment Władysław is outdriving his start. 25th on the splits as he comes out of 10. Ooh, helmet on the ice, lots of work going on from the toes as well. Hard hit out of 13, and he's slipping out of the top 25. Across the line, it doesn't make it, 52.77. So 1 to go, and Jaroslav Lavrenyuk of Ukraine is still in 25th place. And Poland's Władysław Poliwak could not quite hold it together, below 12. At late height, throwing the sled sideways. And here's the other view of 13. Flops, steers, still hits the wall, and then trying to come over to the left again for 14.
And the track is clear.
And our final slider is a welcome return for Jung Seung-gi. First World Cup since Lake Placid in March. He herniated a disc in pre-season training, had to have surgery and has been rehabbing, has not started a race since. And the man who had the start record starts in 5:01. So that's not even jogging off for a man who started in 4:60 last year. He's clearly still having to do a lot of work to get back to where he was. But 35th fastest start out of 38. And already clawing his way into the top 25. A little late out of 13. He may not have the start, but he hasn't forgotten how to slide. 23rd, 22nd, should be top 20 at the line. 52.34. So hasn't raced since March. 8th in the Youth Olympics here in 2016, tied with Vladislav Heraskevich. And the fastest starter in last year's race, the track record or start record holder. He finished 9th in the end last year, but starting 5:01. 35th at the start, 22nd at the bottom. Good to see him back. At the top of the pile then, for the first time in his career, is China's Lin Chen-wei. A slender margin, but he does have the lead. Fastest starter in the race, also leads at the line. So Lin Chen-wei is the leader by 0.03 of a second from Sammy Meyer. Lin started fastest. Sammy Meyer 28th fastest. Axel Junk is third at the head of a massive logjam for the medals. Junk, Wyatt, Groothair, Yin, Keisinger. Don't count out Matt Weston from that far back either. And lots to be contemplating in the second heat. Bumped out in the final reckoning was Jaroslav Lavrenyuk, so Livio Summermatter in 25th place will head us into the second heat. And there you can see the remainder of the positions for our 38 sliders, including newcomer Teodor Bugliescu of Romania and the returning Jeff Bauer of Luxembourg. So our second heat comes up at 10:45 local, 09:45 Greenwich Mean Time, and that is 04:45 Eastern. We'll see you then. Bye for now.